So, again, my name is Will Aycock, and I'm the general manager with Greenlight Community Broadband in Wilson, North Carolina. And just a little bit of background about us. We are a municipally owned fiber to the home service provider, and we have been in operation since 2008. We've got actually today about 7,500 active accounts on the network. This slide has been used many times as we've done the background, and every time we do it, we have to update with our continued growth. And importantly, in addition to the customers we have externally, we've got more than 5,000 devices and facilities connected in support of city operations. So a lot of this echoes what you were just saying about smart grid, about public safety, about all the variety of things we do as a municipality and how this network is supporting those things. And we've got 350 miles of fiber plant, and we're connecting basically every type of institution you can imagine in the community, from public schools to other government agencies, our small businesses, and obviously our residents. But to focus on the question, what are some of the things that it's going to take to help deploy broadband, next generation broadband, into rural communities? And I think there are several things. And the first of those is for communities to identify both the needs and the opportunities. And to illustrate that, I'm going to read you guys an email, a couple of emails that I've received. So this is from a resident who lives just outside of our service territory, received a few months ago. I am an IT systems engineer that works from home. He indicated the company that he worked for. Some people do not like it out here because it's in a very rural area outside of our community. But I do, and neighbors will wave back at you. I have long-term plans here, but internet is killing me. Please keep me in mind, and I'm more than willing to help as you continue to expand your network. So we got that email several months ago as some of the press was coming out about what was going on with the FCC. 3 or 4 weeks later, the same gentleman sent me another email. Only one on call from our company tonight, and I'm responsible for the loss of millions of dollars. Welcome to my world, pardon the French, but my internet sucks. So that's the need. This is a technology professional working from home in a rural area in eastern North Carolina. And I'll confess to you, I don't know exactly how that story ended, but it's not hard to imagine that it could end with a vacant home, with an inactive utility account. It's also not hard to imagine that that story could end with someone no longer employed. And it's because of the lack of infrastructure in that community. So I think that really illustrates the need. And it also is related to something I've heard a lot at this conference, is the talk about the in-migration of millennials to more urban areas. From a need perspective, we need to have basic infrastructure. We need to not be set apart as having less if we want to attract the generation coming out of college. If you're just in the session about MDUs, then you've already learned a lot about what they expect. And this type of infrastructure is clearly part of it. Now, another story that presents the opportunity side of this rural issue. I have a very good friend who's a PhD in technology, works in the technology field, got a job in the Research Triangle Park, right in the heart of Artie area, with a major technology firm. Up and moved his family to one of the communities there in the center of the triangle because he had gotten this job. Was there for about 6 months and decided, you know what, the quality of life here is not right for me, and it's not right for my family. I want to go back to Wilson. And he was able to come back, and I've noticed many times since then, as a Greenlight member, as someone who's connected to our network, he's working from home more than he's commuting into the triangle. So that shows the opportunity. There's the need, we could lose people, and there's the opportunity to retain and to recruit new. Another thing that I think is really important as we're looking at being able to bring broadband into our rural communities is to eliminate some of these false dichotomies that you hear a lot of. If you can look right in the program for this very event that we're describing, what we're here to talk about, it says, I think gigabit networks are wireless the solution. And I think it's done intentionally, but clearly that's a false dichotomy. The answer is yes. You're not going to have wireless without fiber somewhere. And the whole process is going to have to be a slow edge out. And that's one of the easy ones that people put forth to kind of get in the way of bringing broadband to rural communities. One of the more difficult ones is also listed in the program. In the absence of private sector providers, how will municipalities and co-ops and nonprofits fill the void? Well, the very phrasing of that question sort of invalidates the important role of local communities in the issue. It doesn't matter what type of private sector partners you may have, you still have a role to play. And of course, ideally, there's going to be a private sector partner to come in and work with you to bring the infrastructure to your community, but you cannot give up your responsibility to the community. You have to be a stakeholder, and you have to be a participant. And what are those important roles? Well, the roles for the municipality or the co-op or for anybody can be dependent on who the players are. What are the resources available in your community? You know, who's coming to the table? What can they do? And that will dictate the role of each of the various players. But you have to get beyond this conceptualization of public versus private. There is no versus. We're working together to bring infrastructure to our communities. And with that, I will say that partnerships are absolutely essential. You were just mentioning an incumbent provider coming and operating on the network that your organization has built. And I think that's a very important key factor for being able to bring broadband to rural areas is be open-minded. The situation is evolving. We and Wilson went through extensive negotiations with an incumbent provider before we launched. We became very, very close to launching a service in partnership. Unfortunately, that did not come to fruition, but it doesn't mean that we can't continue to be open-minded, can't continue to seek new partners. And in fact, even though we are considered to be a municipal operator, we are actually participants in multiple public-private partnerships. We have an excellent public-private partnership with Computer Central, who's a local wireless ISP, where we wholesale data to them, and they actually reach some of the more rural areas. In addition, they're now selling new value-added services across our network in partnership with us. Our voice service is actually provided in partnership with a private sector provider. We have multiple Tier 1 providers that we work with on a regular basis, doing dark fiber RUs, doing fiber swaps, working together to service the needs of the community. So those are the things that are really important, in my opinion, if we're going to bring broadband to rural America. And at the end of the day, the last thing that is an essential ingredient is people. You know, people who are going to stay in the communities, who are going to serve, who are going to be open-minded, and who are going to work together. You know, we could all throw up our hands and move into the city with the millennials, but I don't think that's what anybody in this room wants to do, and I don't think that's what we're going to do. Rather, we're going to work together to sort of incrementally just deploy this infrastructure into our communities and help make it an attractive place to be healthy for years to come. So with that, I will just say thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.